Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to make a different kind of geode tumbler. I've made quite a few geodes on my channel, but I wanted to do one kind of inspired by this photo that I found on Pinterest. It's kind of a more like irregular shape. So I'm starting with my tumbler that has already been glittered and epoxied. This is a like Tiffany blue colored tumbler that I bought at Lululemon, and I put Kaneohe from Peachy Olive Glitters over it, and then put 2 coats of epoxy on top. So that's where we're at right now. Our cup is relatively smooth. So I'm gonna go in with a white paint pen and just roughly sketch out the shape of my geode, kind of what design I want to do. This is very organic looking. There's no like right or wrong way to do this. You can do whatever kind of shapes you want here. If you wanted to, you could just do a traditional looking geode if you feel like that's what you're most comfortable with, but I really wanted to try and see if I could even accomplish this design. So I'm going to take my marker and just start creating these random shapes, kind of following a little bit of the photo. Now I will tell you, just spoiler alert, the end result of the tumbler doesn't really look anything like the photo, but I still really like how it turned out, and it was a fun little experiment to see how this would even turn out. Part of the reason that I'm sketching this out first with a paint pen before I just go right in with all of my glitters and everything is because I wanted to make sure that all of my lines were going to look right with the shapes that I created. So in this section of the tumbler, I kind of went a little too weird, I thought, when I drew it all out. So I just took some rubbing alcohol on an old rag and I wiped off those paint lines, and you couldn't even tell that there was a mistake there in the first place. So really, like I said before, this does not turn out exactly like the photo shapes, but that's just hard to do on a round object, like a cylinder rather than a flat canvas, because everything kind of has to connect somewhere. So this kind of looks like a middle ground between a traditional glitter geode that you would do and a more organic kind of broken up geode, if that makes any sense. Alright, so once we have our lines all mapped out, we can start to go in with our base paints and our glitter. So to start out, I'm going to do some pink shapes. For the glitter, I'm using pink peppermint from Peachy Olive Glitters, and I'm mixing together my light pink acrylic paint with my CRYSTALAC glitter glue here. So I'm going to go right in over this turquoise glitter, and I'm kind of mapping out like what color palette I want to follow, where I want the turquoise glitter to show through. I kind of got an idea or a picture in my head, and that's what I'm following. But again, one thing I love about geode tumblers is that you can do literally any number of colors, any color combo that you want, like even colors that you think will not go together, somehow always come together and look really good on a geode tumbler. So you don't have to think too much about this design. This is one of those that you can just say like, I just want to kind of play and see what happens. That's really what I did with this. And you can just have fun and create something really cool. So don't put too much pressure on making a perfect design or getting the colors in the exact right spot or anything like that. Just have fun. So I'm going to fill in these spots with my pink paint and glitter mixture. No, glitter glue mixture. And then I'm going to go in with my glitter over it. And I'm waiting in between each glitter color. I'm waiting for the adhesive to fully dry because I don't want any contamination between glitters. So this process did take me quite a bit of time because I was waiting in between. And typically with like a traditional geode that I would do, I would just do each color back to back to back. But with this one, I really wanted to like make sure that everything was super crisp and clean. So I took the extra time, but you don't have to if you don't want to. You can do all your colors back to back if you prefer to do it that way. All right, so after the pink peppermint glitter dried, I moved on to my next color. So I'm gonna mix again my antique gold paint here with my glitter glue, and I'm gonna paint my sections to put down my gold glitter. Now I'm really at this point trying to map out what parts of the teal I'm gonna show, how much gold do I want showing, and all of this is based on the random lines that I drew. When I drew the geode shape onto the tumbler, I had no idea like what colors I was going to use, how many I was going to use, or anything like that. I just drew the lines how I thought looked best, and now I'm picking colors that will go with that. So you can either do that way, or if you have like a set color palette that you want to use, you can kind of sketch out your design based on that color palette or whatever you're doing. But I did it, just like sketched my random design out, and now I'm just picking colors based on those shapes. And you'll notice that after applying the glitter, I am brushing off all of the excess. Now I would recommend that you do that after your adhesive has dried before going in and brushing off all of the excess, because you risk smearing your paint and glue and all of that if you do it after applying. So I did that. I was impatient and I wanted to just have it all clean, but I accidentally nicked, as you can see there, my paint and my glitter and everything. So I had to go back in and fix that. So I would just wait for everything to dry before you go in and brush off the excess, so you don't have to do any extra like cleanup work or anything. For our next two colors, we're going to use the same base coat, so we are going to apply them back to back. I'm going to use a white base coat on these because I want them to appear a little bit lighter with the lighter base coat, if that makes sense. So this next glitter that we're going to apply is actually a gold glitter, but I'm going to use the white base to like brighten it up just a little bit. So again, I've got my paint mixed in with my glue here, and I'm just applying the paint as carefully as I can within those lines that I created. They do not need to be perfect though, so if you're a little like not coloring within the lines, that is totally okay. Because like we do with every other geode, I'm going to go through after epoxying over all of this glitter, and I'm going to line everything with some paint pens to really make everything look nice and finished and cover up any of those maybe mishaps that we had in our painting. It'll just make everything look really nice and crisp and finished. So don't worry about painting perfectly. What I'm going to do is finish off this little line, and then I'll go in with my champagne colored glitter that is named Champagne. And then I'll go right back in with my same white paint and glitter glue mixture, and I'll fill in my final shape. And for that last bit of glitter, we're going to use Galadriel. I watched Lord of the Rings recently, and I actually learned how to pronounce Galadriel. I had been saying Galadriel, but according to the movie, it's Galadriel. I didn't know. Anyway, that's the glitter we're going to use for the last little section of our geode. Okay, once those last two glitter sections are completely dry, I'm going to go through and wipe off all of the remaining excess glitter from the tumbler, and then I'm going to take my CRYSTALAC glitter glue and water mixture, and I'm going to brush that all over each of these glitters to really seal them, make sure we don't get any movement when we epoxy over them, and also help them to lie flat. I'm sure you guys are used to hearing this spiel from me. Sealing your glitter makes all the difference when you go to apply epoxy. It makes everything smoother. You use less epoxy. You have to do less sanding, which I feel like everybody is thankful for. So definitely seal your glitter. It is a worthy step, I promise. After letting that sealer dry for at least 2 hours, I was ready to add my first coat of epoxy over all of this geode glitter. I'm using the Flynn Sisters Supply Shop Fast Cure epoxy here because it's the thickest viscosity that I have, and it's going to really give us like a nice good coat over this glitter. So I'm using probably about 40 to 45 milliliters of epoxy on this cup. This is a large tumbler just in general. It's a 32-ounce cup, and we've got a lot of glitter on here, so I'm doing a little bit of a thicker coat than I normally would over the raw glitter, and then the second coat that we put on over this won't be as thick. It'll only be maybe like 30 milliliters. So those are my ratios. Of course, adjust based on the size of cup that you're using. I am letting my cup cure or dry or whatever for probably a full 24 hours in between those two coats, just because it's been colder here. I want to give everything ample time. But yeah, 2 coats, 45 milliliters for the first one, about 30 milliliters for the second one, waiting 24 hours in between each. And then once those 2 coats are on, your cup should be pretty smooth. If you need to do any sanding, you can definitely do it after the second coat over the glitter, and then you'll be ready to move on to the next step. Here's what my tumbler looks like after those 2 coats of epoxy over all of the glitter. I am really loving how it's looking so far, but this is my favorite part of doing geodes, lining everything with my paint pens. I feel like this is what really brings the design to life, makes it look super duper cool, and just finishes everything off. And it's also another opportunity to add more color. For this design specifically, I did choose to keep the color palette pretty much the same. All of the paint pens that I'm using match, basically, except for the black. They all match what glitter colors I have going, but if you wanted to make things a little bit different, you could use colors that completely contrast from your glitter colors, which I feel like would be pretty cool. So don't feel like you have to follow any specific rules. I know I keep saying there's no wrong way to do this, but really there is no wrong way to do this type of tumbler. Just have fun and like go for it and see what happens. You never know until you try. Before I apply all my paint lines, I am going to clean up the top rim of my tumbler because after we're done with all of the paint pens, we're going to go in with our final coats of epoxy. So now is the time to do this. Depending on the type of cup you're using, your rim cleanup might look a little bit different. I'm using a sport bottle type lid here, or cup, so I want to clean up that whole area to make sure that my lid screws on right, make sure that I have a nice thin rim of stainless steel around the top of the cup, still the same way you would if you were using like any other type of tumbler, because that little part of stainless steel or like little sliver is where the final coats of epoxy are going to adhere to. That's going to create the final seal on your tumbler and prevent any like water from getting in there or any like breakage in your seal, if that makes any sense. So you want to clean up your top rim, and then you can go in with all of your paint pen lines and then add your final coat, or if you want to do a decal or whatever, you can do that at this point as well. So again, like I said, I'm using paint pens that match the color palette that I've got going, but I'm trying to put the different colors in between colors that don't match. Hopefully that makes sense. So like here in between my pink and my gold, I'm using my white paint pen because I really want to, one, brighten up that area, and I want to make sure that there is a distinct break in those 2 shapes. So I'm going to use colors that don't match the glitter colors next to them. As I'm lining everything also, I am trying to cover up those initial white paint pen lines that we made when we were first sketching out our design. So you'll see sometimes I'll go in and like make one part of the line a little bit thicker to cover up some of that white. I think that that just adds to the like organic look of the design. If you don't like that, you can do something different. You can use a thicker paint pen if you want, so all of your lines are perfectly uniform. But in some areas, I just made the lines a little bit thicker because the whole point of this is to make it look like natural and not perfect. So that was my solution to cover those white lines that we did at the very, very beginning. After adding all of those initial lines, I did do a coat of epoxy to seal everything in, and then I was looking at it and I decided, you know what, I think it would be cool if I added some more paint pen lines, but this time I'm going to add the matching color of the glitter into that glitter section. So like in my gold glitter section, I did a little line of gold paint pen. So I did that in just a couple different sections. I didn't do it in every single one, but I thought the cup needed like something a little bit extra, so I just decided to add more lines. I toyed with maybe doing some like gold flake or foil or something somewhere, but I really liked where the design was going and I liked how it looked. I just thought it needed something and I really didn't want to ruin it, so I thought, well, if I just do paint pens and I don't like it, I can just erase it. So that was what I did, but again, feel free to take whatever creativity you want with these designs. If you want to add like leopard print, or you want to add rhinestones, or you want to do gold leaf or foil or whatever, go ahead and try it. See how it looks. Again, like I said, you never know if you don't try. So after I was done with all of these paint pens, I went in with my actual final coat of epoxy. For my final coat, as always, I used the Flynn Sisters Supply Shop Artist Cure epoxy because it has more UV protection, so this cup will not yellow over time. And that's it. Once it was all done, this is what we have. I really love how this turned out. I love that it's all of my favorite colors just wrapped into one design. I think the geode effect turned out really cool. And I think from every angle, this cup is really interesting to look at, and that's something I always strive for, is like visual interest. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you like the design. As always, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you like these videos and you like watching my channel, please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my new uploads. And if you want even more from me, like exclusive tutorials that never get posted to the public, a wonderful community of amazing Tumbler makers, free digital files, cup swaps, and all other kinds of fun stuff, you can join my Patreon group, The Elite Fam, at patreon.com/elitefam, and you will get all of those amazing things. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks so much for watching as always, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, love you. Bye. Hello friends, thanks so much for watching this video. I want to say a huge special thank you to my Elite Fam, my channel members, and my subscribers. You all make this channel possible, so thank you so much for being part of the fam. If you want more exclusive content from me, you can join my Elite Fam at patreon.com/elitefam. You can find my tumblers and digital files on my website, madebymalstudio.com. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, you can find me on Instagram at madebymal_studio. Here's another video for you to check out, and I'll see you soon. Thanks so much for watching. Love you. Bye.